I mean, to be fair, if the government weren't taking this seriously, how are the people going to take it seriously? They are leaders. These are the people that we look to give us some guidance in this situation. It's because while this whole pandemic's happening, try not to do this, try not to do that, but with no clear set of rules, people are just going to be like, all right, cool, I'm just going to carry on with my everyday life. But then I'm pretty sure half the people were infected and still spreading it at the same time. I personally believe it was the government's fault more than the people's fault. Yes, people are at fault, but the government more than the people.
I'm sort of in the middle because I do feel like, yes, there are these guidelines put into place. Yes, they could have been stronger. Some people do blindly follow the government and whatever they say, and they're like, okay, what they say goes. But at the same time, we've been given the facts. We know how it spreads. We know what we should be and shouldn't be doing, to prevent this virus from spreading, to protect ourselves. Even if we don't think we've got it, we could be a carrier. I've seen, obviously, in supermarkets, you've probably seen it too. They've got sort of 2 meter sort of spacings where there's tape on the floor or small arrows, and they've got a one-way system and stuff. It's great. They've got that in place, and they've got like plastic screens between the tills and stuff. And you can see that they're trying to make an effort so that people can go shopping, so they can go and get their groceries without potentially catching it or spreading it. But I've also seen people, running back and forth, not following this, stepping over the lines. And it's like, yes, the government can set out as many rules as they want, but if people aren't going to follow them, then they're just selfish. And this is why more people are dying.
I think the main case for me is the fact that 250,000 tickets were sold for Cheltenham Racing Festival, and 100,000 fewer people went because of the coronavirus. But if the government made it very firm, this event should not take place, half marathon shouldn't take place, the Bath Half Marathon took place the same weekend, gyms should be closed sooner, then it would be taken a lot more serious by the people, and a lot less people would go out and spread the virus themselves. And then I think that the government were also very slow with listening to what other countries did. China was a great example. They kept saying test, test, test. The British government didn't do it, which again led to further spread, which wasn't really down to the public's fault, because the government should have had that testing in place. But also airports should have been closed sooner. Everyone that came into the UK from a flight should be put straight into 2 weeks of quarantine to make sure that they're completely clear of the virus. And I think there's a lot of places where the government were insufficiently prepared and will probably be held accountable for that in a few months to come.
We of the British public, especially people in my age group, because I'm absolutely ancient, and I've had to stay locked down for 7 weeks now. And I've seen a lot of people who should know better going out and about. I've been to the supermarket once, in a very large supermarket where the aisles were wide enough, and even so, people were not observing social distancing. We only have ourselves to blame. I'm really sorry to have to say that, but we really do.
For the economy to at least kind of kickstart back up, we should be taking small steps.
Well, I suppose slightly London-centric in the issue with the transport for how do we actually get to work. So it seems a bit mad to me that you might go through something really dangerous before you arrive at the door of somewhere that's tried to put in the social distancing.
I feel like in most jobs, you interact with customers, you interact with each other. And for example, warehouses, like for example, Amazon, you're always with people. Supermarkets, you're talking to customers. It's bound to happen. You're gonna end up being within 2 feet. As it's scientifically proven that if you keep your distance, then you're less likely to get the virus.
I would like to see the economy moving back, but I just think it's unsustainable. People put up with it maybe for a week or two, but then once they start feeling safe, I think the social distancing would break down and they wouldn't all stick to it.
I agree with the statement. I feel like everyone should wear PPE because it's stop being selfish. Just because you're fully healthy and you may have the virus, do you know what I mean? So it's a thing where if everyone's wearing protective gear, it can help the vulnerable as well, like the elderly, because like I said, you could be healthy, but there's so many other people out there who are vulnerable and not as healthy as you.
I initially disagreed because instantly I just thought supply. And I think if we're struggling to get supply into the key areas where it's needed most, such as the health service and health sector, then that should be priority. And as long as they've got excess supply, then we start focusing on whether the public can start buying it and whether they can start stocking up on it, because we already saw what happened with stockpiling in the past. I think the word mandatory might be a bit too far. As Izzy said, it's been implemented in a lot of other countries, and fines are being dispersed for if you're not wearing the correct PPE, which is good because it's encouraging people to just think about their own awareness, their own health and safety, and spreading it a lot. But it's the question of how effective is it? There's rumours that, or it's factually proven that a face mask is only effective for 4 hours and you have to keep changing it after 4 hours, which for a lot of people, if they're in public spaces for more than 12 hours a day, that's 4 face masks, which can soon add up over the whole population.
I agree with the general consensus. If you're out for a walk and you can easily socially distance, then no, the face mask isn't necessary, because it doesn't protect you from the virus. It only prevents you giving it to somebody else if you've got it. But on the other hand, if you're going into close confines, like some people have to travel on the underground or on the bus or go into a shop, yes, it's good to have one handy.
With Boris Johnson, I really don't know with this guy because he's actually so unclear. 1 second is like, go outside, don't go outside, go to work, don't go to work, take public transport, but not take public transport. I'm like, he just doesn't make sense.
You know what? I really like Boris, and to be fair, I think he has gone through. Yes, he's leading the country, and he's got all these different opinions being thrown at him. I mean, I'm sure he probably wanted to, carry on with lockdown, but everyone's saying, "Oh, we need to come out of lockdown. We need to come out of it." He's got all these different opinions being thrown at him. He's been ill himself. He's had a baby. The guy's got a lot on his plate.
I'm very half and half with this one. I think at the start he was given a lot of criticism for not keeping everyone up to date. So I think it's very effective that he brought in the daily question time, which has been very good at answering questions, especially when they introduce the questions from the member of the public, because it means that the media isn't just dominating all the questions, that we get a say as well, which is very important in situations like this.
I watched the Prime Minister on Sunday give a speech telling us what was going to happen prior to providing us with a 50-page document which were going to tell us what to happen. And to be perfectly honest, I listened to what he said in minute detail, very carefully. I then watched it again on BBC iPlayer. And quite frankly, what I heard on Monday, which was supposed to have been the bullet points of his speech, was completely different from what I heard him say on Sunday. I felt what he said on Sunday was woolly, imprecise. He needs a better speechwriter. And the important points that came out of the 50-page document just weren't the same thing. Please, Boris, get yourself a better speechwriter.
Clear and concise, no. But I just thank God we haven't got Donald Trump as a leader. So in that sense, Boris Johnson's like way ahead in that sense. So, yeah.
Personally, I think that the police should be given a bit more power, purely because some of the things that I've seen, and it's just, I'm sort of scratching my head. I mean, I was in the park. I think it was the second week that we were in lockdown already. And I went to the park to go for a run, and there's 10 people playing a 5 versus 5 basketball game. And the police are circling around this park, and they're not doing anything.
A lot of things have been happening that shouldn't be, and that the police should certainly be stepping in these situations to ensure that such gatherings don't happen in public places like parks. But I think the key here is consistency. If the police have too much power, then they'll individually discard people in different ways, and that they'll punish different people with different sanctions.
If the police are not a bit more harsh, I feel like people will take advantage of that. For example, people are still going to parks and chilling with friends and stuff. So they're literally taking advantage of the fact that police don't really care and they just walk past.
The police obviously need to step in and help where things are going wrong. It's more, I don't think they should be given extra powers to do so, because does that continue then after this, which I think could lead to dangerous precedents of what they do? This is a very unusual time, and I would imagine that more people are cooperating, perhaps because of social distancing, with the police. But I don't think they should be given extra powers. I think they've got enough powers.
I mean, with that being said, the lockdown has been pretty made like unclear. There's no certain rules and whatnot currently. So if you're going to give the police more power than they already have, I mean, us as people, we're not even sure what this means for us, because I'm not really sure we have a clear set of rules to what we should or shouldn't do. Is because really and truly it's all up in the air.